Today's brief. It's going to be fast and furious because don't have a lot of time. Like I said, I got the Irish to watch, but I'm going to give you an introduction to TopGun Options. Oh, and Navy. That's right. I got to watch the Navy game. Our performance year to date, our methodology, how we trade, how we invest here at TopGun Options. I'm going to go over an acronym that we use to trade here. We used to trade here in 2016, and it's going to I changed one of the letters, but the acronym's to fear for 2017, and then we're going to take a look at a couple actionable trades depending on time, okay? I might do the S&P 500. I was thinking about JP Morgan, and I also have Facebook on the brain as well, so I'm actually going to, this will be a benevolent dictatorship today. I'm actually going to take a vote, and out of those three, I'm going to let you vote at the end. I'll do a trade on that. The trades on JP Morgan or Facebook will be out to January of 2019. The S&P 500 trade will be 2 weeks. So we're either going to trade a front month trade or a back month trade. Steve, you got it, man. The Fighting Irish. Trading is combat, folks. Seriously. At the end of the day, when you think about it, there's a winner and there's a loser. And you can be damn sure I plan on being on the right side of that trade. I get it, folks. If you lose on a trade, you're not coming home underneath a flag, okay? If I lose in combat, I didn't come home, and I buried 11 of my best friends, the finest men you'd ever want to meet, okay? But if you can take just some of that ethos, some of that methodology, and apply it to your trading, I guarantee you, you're going to win. So let's get airborne. As Renee said, my name is Matthew Buckley. My call sign is Whiz. You can call me Whiz going forward. It's Matthew when I'm in trouble with my mom or my fiance. Flew the Hornet, graduated from Top Gun, 44 combat sorties over Iraq. But as I was growing up, my parents, I was a poor kid from South Jersey, Irish Catholic, one of 6 children. My parents instilled a sense of service above self. But when my dad would read the paper each morning before he went to work and I went to school, I'd always look at that finance section as he was holding it up, and he explained what stocks were, and hey Matthew, that Happy Meal you had yesterday, if you bought stock in this company called McDonald's, you could actually make some money off of that. Long story short, always interested in finance, and when I got into the Navy and ended up getting selected to fly fighter jets and be the best of the best and go to Top Gun, I taught myself how to trade equity options when I was about 23. Now, I'm not going to reveal my age, but let's say I've been doing this for over a quarter of a decade, trading options. But check this out. My trading was so good on my own, and my methodologies and everything you're going to learn here today, that's the intersection of Jackson and LaSalle, if you're not familiar with Chicago. And you can barely see it up there. It says Chicago Board of Trade. So this is the CBOT. You see these big windows right here? That's called Peak 6 Investments. Massive, multi-billion-dollar equity options volatility arbitrage firm. Well, guess what? Out of the blue, tap on the shoulder, we want you to essentially come run Peak 6 Investments. So I go from essentially the cockpit and being a retail options trader such yourself to the trading pit of this $2.5 billion firm. Now, to be honest with you, I did feel like Eddie Murphy, Valentine in Trading Places. I was like, are you kidding me? What the hell am I going to do here? Well, here's what I did there. I essentially I was the managing director of strategy for this multi-billion-dollar equity options vol arb firm. And then what did I do after doing that for about a year and a half? I was the founder and CEO of the Options News Network. Many of you, if you remember, about 2006, 2007 through 2010, this was essentially the CNBC for options, and I had an absolute blast. I grew that thing from me to about 50 employees and 80,000 people online in about a year. Had an absolute blast. But I got to be honest with you, folks, and not to offend anybody from Chicago, I hated Chicago. I grew up on the Jersey Shore. I'm a Navy guy. I need a beach. I need warm weather. Like the Beverly Hillbillies, I haul butt down here to South Florida, where, to be honest with you, my most important job is the commanding officer of a beautiful squadron of kids there. So I live down here in Fort Lauderdale and Boca Raton, where I started TopGun Options. All right, that's TopGun Options, or I'm sorry, that's my background and how I got to sitting here at this webinar today. So let's go ahead and get airborne and start doing some work. TGO, 6 years of service. We train, we don't educate. The world is full of educated derelicts, to steal part of a Calvin Coolidge quote. And you can see half of these educated derelicts on TV sucking their thumbs, curled up in a safe space. We train. Fighter pilots are trained, doctors are trained, options traders are trained, and we've done that for thousands upon thousands of traders and investors of all skill levels over the past 6 years. Literally what you're going to hear today is combat tested and proven on Wall Street. These methodologies, and it ain't rocket surgery, folks. If I can do it, you can do it. We use that demo do concept in the military. You're going to come to my live trade briefs after you sign up today. I'm going to demonstrate something. For example, you're going to study first, right? Here's how to do a loop in an airplane, in an F-18. Then you're going to come to my brief. I'm going to brief you how to do a loop in an airplane. Then we go out to the 2-seat F-18 and get airborne, and I show you how to do a loop. Now it's your turn. That's how you learn. You don't learn sitting there on a webinar with a guy saying, hey, this is a call, this is a put, and then they throw you to the lions. Demo do. You're going to look over my shoulder like we are in a 2-seat F-18 and watch how Whiz flies his airplane in my live trade briefs, and then you can do. Here's our year-to-date performance. I think I updated these this week because I had another webinar earlier. Real quick, before I show you our performance, if you think you're missing out by not being in with a bunch of rich people in a hedge fund, check this out. This is from 1,900 hedge funds through October. Look at their year-to-date performance. 4%. Okay? 4%. Look at their best year lately, 11%. It's absolutely horrific, folks. You ready? Strap in. $137,000 year to date. This portfolio, the primary live trade brief, has a 94% return on risk. Now, all right, Whiz, is that a quadrillion-dollar portfolio? No. Every model portfolio, I manage 4 of them here at TGO. They're all skill-based. Retirement, the primary, I'll explain in a couple seconds. They're all based on a 100,000 model portfolio. So if you're sitting there saying, oh, I only got 10 grand, or I got 50, or I got 100 million, it doesn't matter. For example, when I show you the trade on whatever we vote on, if I'm doing 15 contracts and the max risk for me is $5,000, you might be sitting there going, Whiz, I only want to risk, I don't know, 2,500. Then you do 7 contracts. So don't sit here and go, wow, that's a $100,000 model portfolio. I don't have 100 grand. Not a lot of people do, folks. We just picked that because it's a nice round number and it's kind of down the fairway. Now let me explain return on risk, because stock traders, when you buy 1,000 shares of Apple, you buy 1,000 shares of Apple. That that money's gone. If I have a $100,000 portfolio, and I'll show you this in a couple minutes when we look at my trading platform, I'm only using about half. I think in this portfolio I'm using like $49,000. That means that's at risk. That's tied up in options positions. The other 51 grand is just sitting there. Now, since we're under this zero rate, environment, it's not making any money. But in the old days, that used to be in a money market fund and made a couple percent. My point being, this is return on risk. Okay, so we calculate it differently from stock traders. But hey, man, if you have 49 grand at risk, wow, a 94% return. This one is our urgent alert and weekly options. I trade the hell out of weekly options. Look at the top line there, SPX. We trade that. That's why I might want to trade an SPX trade today. We trade the hell out of the S&P 500. Every Monday at 1 o'clock, I do a weekly options live trade brief for about 30 minutes, and I pick 1 to 2 trades, and I manage them. Hell, we might be out of them that day, or Wednesday, or Tuesday, or hold them all the way to Friday. Okay, and I have to show you this, but this is my most embarrassing portfolio. You ready? Here's our retirement portfolio. Only a 43% return on risk. $70,000 year to date. Now, I'm saying that tongue-in-cheek, obviously. How many of you would love to have your retirement fund up 43%? I can tell you that people at TopGun Options do love it. So I say that tongue-in-cheek. Obviously, I'm very proud of a 43% return, but it's a little bit more conservative. The Facebook or JP Morgan trade I might put on today is out to, we trade out to January of 2019, for example. And these trade, well, I show you this JP Morgan trade we closed last week after we had it on for about 15 months. I'll show you the type of trades we have in this portfolio. So we're having a blast, folks. We're outperforming the top 20 hedge funds and smart money out there. And I'm going to make a really big, I'm going to thump my chest a little bit here in a little bit, which I don't do. It's funny. People are always like, oh, how do you know a guy's a fighter pilot? Well, he'll tell you. That's the exact opposite. We are the lowest key people in the world, and we don't if you know a military professional, that's exactly who we are. We're soft-spoken. I am not going to be soft-spoken about what I called last week, and I'm going to be very, very proud of it. Real quick, now reminder, you have a, let me turn my camera on so you guys can see who I am. I'm sitting down here in, there we go, in Boca. Here's our methodology. And again, thank you for the United States Navy and the military for teaching me this stuff. It's SOT. It's strategic, operational, and tactical. Strategic means what? It's high level, okay? Win the war against ISIS. Operational, it's one level underneath that. Take out these 6 towns, starting with Mosul, and drive out ISIS into the hammer. Tactical, that's the bottom of the pyramid. Take this town by this time with this many troops and move on to the next one. Here's the problem with your trading. I guarantee out of the hundreds of people in here today, you're a very, very tactical trader. Okay, you wake up in the morning, you put your bunny slippers on, sip on the coffee, you watch Comedy Central, which I call CNBC, and good-looking guy, good haircut, nice suit, talking about Tesla. You don't know anything about Tesla other than the guy wants to go to the moon. You know what? I'm going to buy Tesla, and 2 weeks later you're broke. Because you're not thinking strategically. Here's what we do with TopGun Options. In my live trade briefs, and you're going to get a little one of these today based on time, I give you a strategic brief. Pretend you're the president-elect or you're a general or an admiral, and I'm, as a young lieutenant, I'm going to give you a brief. Sir, ma'am, here's what's going on around the globe. Here's what's going on in China. The People's Bank of China said this last night. Here's what's going on with Bank of Japan Governor Kuroda. Here's what's going on in with a potential Brexit vote. Here's what's going on with Italy. Italy might be leaving soon. Boom, boom, boom. Here's what's going on around the world militarily. I mean, remember what happened when Putin invaded Crimea or he shot down the airliner? You have to know what's going on globally. How many of you have woken up and the futures are down 1,000 points because something, you know, the GDP got reported out of China or there was an international incident? You got to pay attention to the strategic events around the world. Then we're going to peel back the onion and get operational. What's going on with the Fed? What did Janet Yellen say the other day? There's 3 Fed lieutenants talking Monday. Well, what are they saying? What's going to happen in December? What are durable goods looking at like? What's our GDP doing? All of these things. Then, and both of those are about 15 minutes each, about a 30-minute brief, right? And then what can we do, folks? Then we can get tactical. Now we can start trading. And I'm going to, if you get nothing out of my portion of today's presentations, which would suck, you're going to get this. There is no such thing as an option strategy. And I pause for effect because I know some of you, Whiz, what are you talking about? Iron condors, love them. That's my favorite strategy. You're wrong. Don't tell me I'm wrong. You're wrong. Your terminology is wrong. I just told you a strategy, in this case, would be saving for college, saving for retirement, short-term income generation, buying a boat, going to Aspen in March. Those are strategies. A tactic supports a strategy. A bear call spread, a cash secured put, an iron condor is a tactic. Okay, so please ditch that term. And I will take credit for that. 4-block radius of the board of trade, I did change the terminology. A lot of people started calling them tactics. Okay, so we're going to get into the market here. I'm going to tell you what I'm looking at, and this isn't who you want to be. Trading is a form of combat, folks. And somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose. And I guarantee you, after running a multi-billion-dollar equity vol arb firm, I wanted to build this. I got to be honest with you, I hated Wall Street. I felt like I had to take a shower a couple times a day, just the way it was gross. Okay, so I built this for guys and gals like us. Okay, here's what you want to be but don't want to be. This is a Canadian Hornet. That left engine failed at low altitude. That right engine's still going. And that Canadian F-18 pilot, oops, sorry, go wrong direction. Let me ask you a quick question. Again, this guy was at 200 feet above the ground, only 200 feet. He was practicing for an air show. He was going down the runway. His nose was cocked about 35 degrees in the air. You could have passed him on the runway in your car if you're doing 85 miles an hour. That's how slow he was going in this Hornet. As soon as that engine failed, he rolled over immediately, and you can't see it in the picture, but the ground is almost right there. They calculated if he had waited half a blink of my eye half a blink of my eye, he would have been dead. Let me ask you, when did this flight lieutenant, I think his rank was, when did he make this decision to eject? This gives me a reason to have a thing of water. I need an answer. When did this guy make this decision to eject out of this airplane? Yes? Okay. No, I'll tell you. Tom's close. 3rd grade. If he was that smart, Steve, no. Guys, you know when he made this decision to eject? In the brief. Why do you think I call these live trade briefs? This young captain made this decision as he was sitting there going through each maneuver. He went through a brief. He sat there and said, okay, low altitude, high alpha pass, 200 knots. Okay, if I lose an engine, I'll get out. All right, moving on. The high-speed path, if engine fire, I'll put my hook down, declare an emergency, hit the fire extinguisher, shut down the... He made it in the brief. Why am I bringing this up? Because many of you are still sitting in this cockpit as you fly into the runway in your trading. You get so emotional in a trade. I'm going to teach you at TopGun Options, when you hit certain points, you do things. You're not allowed to not do it. Now, let me take that back a half a degree. At the front of every manual in aviation, in naval aviation, it says, nothing in this manual takes the place of good head work and judgment of the pilot, meaning you can deviate from these procedures, but if you screw it up, we're going to kill you if you're alive. So here's what I'm getting at. At TopGun Options, at the trade I'm going to show you certain levels where you need to make a decision. And there's one level, your max loss, where you get out of the airplane. You don't sit there and go, oh, Apple's going to come back. Apple doesn't hate me. Apple doesn't know who you are, and Apple will run over you and your entire family. Okay, so that's the only reason I show this picture, is because this has to be you when things go wrong in trading. Now, you're probably sitting here going, well, this guy's a downer. Everybody else was talking about printing millions of dollars. Well, guess what? A professional such as myself, options trader or fighter pilot, we look at the bad first. We look at what could go wrong in this trade, what could go wrong in this mission, and is it worth the risk? That's how you live to fight another day, folks. This will shock you too. You ready for this? Professional options traders want to win about 60% of the time. Now, if you're sitting there going, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I'm 100. That's why you're not a successful trader. That's physically impossible. If you ever come to one of these webinars and all you hear is a guy say, all winning trades, click the thing and leave. That's physically impossible. Personally, at TGO, I have a 74% winning rate because I hold myself up to higher standards. It's shocking. Yeah, a lot of people are like 60%. Yeah. All right, here's the acronym. I'm going to blow through this because I want to get to a trade. To fear 2017. You ready for this? Here's me beat my chest a little bit. Or it's going to be a lot of it, so put up with it. TopGun Options was the only financial training firm to predict this, a Trump victory and a market rally. When you sign up today for your 2-week test flight, you can go watch the month of webinars leading up to this. I said he would win. I said the conventional wisdom is wrong. Do not listen to it. Trump is actually going to win and the market's going to rally. Citi, Goldman Sachs, Citi came out with a report that said if Trump wins, the market is going to go down 5%. I think Goldman had a 5 to 10% prediction. And these are coming from analysts that make more than I'll see in my lifetime, right? They were all wrong. We nailed it and we printed money because of it. Now, if you want to sit there and go, well, the futures were down $900 overnight, who the hell? I don't trade futures. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I was out back here on my porch watching the election, and it did that. We nailed it. So the T in what we're going to trade this year, or for the rest of the year and into 2017, is for Trump. Okay? There's going to be a massive Trump rally. You need to get long financials. You need to get long defense stocks. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I also predicted it was going to be a mini Brexit. I said copy this on the left right here, right-click, and paste it right here. We imploded. We went through the 200-day moving average, but we had airspeed on the jet. We were moving. That's why we did. But look at that. We rebounded through the 50-day. We hung around for a little bit and said, all right, a little bit of profit taking. That was a little much. And then we got back on our horse. Here it is. Implosion to the 200-day, as I called it, right through. We had about 3 days of hanging around going, all right, low profit taking, are we going to go up? And then we're heading up. And I'll tell you folks, this is why I'm proud, because in 26 years, this was my biggest nailing, so to speak. We're playing bullish double verticals and on VXX. We got so long on volatility into this thing, I think $15,000, $20,000 in gains. And then what? We sold the hell out of the VXX. We sold bearish double verticals as this thing jumped. I sound so excited because we did the same thing on the Brexit. And we did the same thing right here, guys, on the Fed meeting. 1, 2, 3. 3 areas where if you aren't an options trader, or if you're an options trader, you don't know what you're doing, if you're a directional trader, you either got killed or you made a lot of money or you sat on your hands. I didn't care what happened with Brexit, with this Fed meeting right here, or the elect. I did care about the election. But guess what? We literally printed money on this with just volatility trade. I sat on my hands with other trades. I'm like, we're not doing any directional trades. The only directional trades we're doing are volatility. I know volatility is going to go up as the market gets freaked out, and then it smashes. It literally goes down when the market says, okay, that thing's passed. Here's the trade on JP Morgan I want to show you. I closed it, I think I finally got out of it by Friday. I took this picture on Wednesday. This trade made $35,000 in 15 months. This is from our accelerated retirement model portfolio. Now, this might not sound sexy, but how's this sound? 23. Does anybody? Would you like an additional $2,300 a month? I'll take it. I'll go buy another Lamborghini down here in Fort Lauderdale. The answer is yes. So not only do we trade volatility, we trade JP Morgan. This is a Jan 17, as you can see. I bought the Jan 1740s about 15 months ago, and I bought the 30 puts just as what I call disaster puts in case financials went to zero. So it isn't a strangle there. This is called a long call diagonal, the protected put. I'm going to tell you that I put on, I didn't get filled. I tried to add to my model portfolio the same thing, the retirement, a Goldman Sachs trade. I didn't get filled on it, but the average return of our students is $19,000 in 3 months. That's an average of $6,000 a month. Now, obviously, everybody does different contract sizes. Here's why I'm dropping anchor on the T in Trump. You got to get long the financials. He's going to clip. Janet Yellen said the other day, well, I'm staying. You really? What do you think Trump's going to do? You're fired. He said so on the campaign trail. I don't know why she sat there. Academics can be delusional sometimes, but he's going to pitch her out. The Fed's going to start raising interest rates. Financials start printing money when interest rates go up. Okay? Now, the overall stock market, listen to this. When interest rates are high, stocks will die. When interest rates are low, stocks will grow. So we'll talk about that some other time. The O into fear is oil. Unless you've been on the other side of the moon, you know that in last December and January, oil imploded and so did the market. We're going to keep an eye on oil, and we're going to trade it like volatility. If oil starts dumping, we're going to pound the hell out of it into the dirt. Bearish double verticals on, for example, the OIH, the oil services sector, or XLE. We just talked about the Fed a little bit. I'm going to skip that. Europe, we got to keep an eye on Europe. Brexit, one court says, Parliament doesn't have to vote. The other court, the people spoke. I don't know. At a minimum, it's going to take 2 years to do. Here's my worry next. Italy. Italy's starting to bubble up. You heard it here first. There might be a, what are they calling it? Italian exit or something like that. Here we go. So we'll keep an eye on Europe. The A in fear is Asia. China. They're the world's #1 superpower financially. It's not true, Whiz. According to the blah, 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 we're #1. I know it says we're #1, but we're not. All of that data, folks, is rearward looking. It takes about a year to crunch all this data. Like a recession, I guarantee you in a couple months, the government, our government, comes out and says we've been in a recession for about 8 months. They didn't announce it because they didn't want Mr. Obama's legacy tainted and Ms. Clinton to not win. We're in a recession right now, I'm calling it. But Asia, I am long-term bullish on China, and this one's going to shock you, and then we're going to get trading because I got about 15 minutes left to put a trade on. You ready for this one? Russia. Now, it sounds like Trump and Putin might have a good initial working relationship. They had a phone call the other day. I am very, very long-term on Russia. And if you're like, whoa, 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 this guy flew Hornets, he was probably trained to shoot down MiGs, and I was a bad guy. I pretended I was a Russian in a Russian MiG. We painted our jets. No, I didn't lose my mind, and no, I didn't have anything to drink yet. The Irish aren't on. But folks, you got to be bullish on a guy who does whatever he wants. Okay? The sanctions are starting to come off a little bit, or they're getting used to it. And this guy is, I wear two suits at TopGun Options. A flight suit, where I mean an American, and then I put on my Gordon Gekko Wall Street, everybody's seen that movie, suit. In my flight suit, I'm going to tell you, this makes me nuts. He was a colonel in the KGB, and yeah, maybe earlier in my career, he and I would have met in a dark alley. I'd place money on me, trust me. Now I put on my Gordon Gekko suit and go, I don't care. I call it a hold your nose trade. I'm going to hold my nose, and we're going to make money on the RSX. Write that symbol down, the RSX, okay? All right, so let me get ready, and let me take a vote here. You've been drinking all year if you're an Irish fan. That's not funny. No jokes about the Irish. It is a joke. When Navy beat Irish, that's bad. Okay, now, I'm going to put it out to a vote since I got 15 minutes. Short-term trade on SPX or long-term trade on Facebook or JP Morgan. Ready, vote. Go. Turn on the Jeopardy music. Okay, and this is the accelerated retirement model portfolio, folks, and that slide was wrong. It's up $85,000 year to date. I think I said 77, so these slides are old. All right, let me see the votes. There's 225 of you in here. Start voting. Of course, everybody's short-term SPX. Okay, well, if nobody else votes, that was about 20 people. You guys win. Let me show you something real quick. Strategically, folks, we're taking... I will admit I was a little wrong with my folks last week. I said, we're going to go through the 50-day like we did over here on Brexit. Hang out. There's going to be some profit taking. Hang out and then go higher. Here's what we did. Through the 50-day, we hung out. It didn't even give me a chance to go, all right, and we went higher. But I don't think we're going to give that much back here. Even if we have a pullback, it's not going to be that deep. It's going to be used as a buying opportunity, okay? So technically we are, Steve, all futures traders. So I think we do this. Just like the Brexit, this was like we were climbing Mount Everest, got to base camp here and got a little hypoxic, went back to base camp, got some oxygen, and went back up to Everest. I think this is going to be how the chart looks going through the transition and into his not nomination, into his presidency. Here's the problem, though. You see this little dip right here? I'd copy and paste this all over here. That dip is going to be this Fed meeting. December Fed meeting coming up. The Fed funds futures rate as of Friday's market close was about 75% probability that they were going to raise rates. If they don't, she's nuts. She's absolutely nuts. The market is expecting it. And if she doesn't, she's nuts. However, guess what? Even with a Fed funds futures rate at 75%, we're still going to get long VXX. We're going to get long volatility because there's uncertainty as if she really is going to raise rates. There is, but there isn't. You got to sign up, folks, for the test flight, and I'll hook you up with a couple trades. So, taking a look at the SPX, here's kind of a rip your face off rally. I'm going to split the difference right there, and we're going to go out to. I'm going to go out 2 weeks. I'm not going to do a weekly trade. I'd rather do 2 weeks because that's how long your test flight will be, and you can watch me manage this trade for max profit or jump out of it for min loss. So let me just confirm my dates here. 1 second. It would be the 2nd. So I bring up my options chain here. I use Options House. Why? I helped build it. Options House used to be owned by Peak 6 and was my sister company to the Options News Network. So this is old family here. Let's go down. I think I calculated on Friday the trade I wanted to show you. Let me do something real quick. And I'll talk as I'm doing this. I don't want to lose you. At 65. Yep, right around there. Add edit legs. So this one's about 20 bucks below. All right. here we go. I'm going to talk through this. I'm going to sell 15 of the December 2nd 2165 puts. Okay, that's me saying, hey, S&P 500, I don't think you're going to give some of that rip your face off rally back. You're not going to go below 2165 by December 2nd. All right, Whiz, you're wrong. Now the profit taking is going to start, and we implode back down at the 50-day. Well, I'm going to get out of it before that, but I'm just saying in case I'm sitting at Starbucks for 3 hours and not looking at my screen, I'm going to buy 15 of the 2160 puts. So right here, my bleeding stops, so to speak. All right, it's going to suck, but this is called a bull put spread. It's also called what? A credit spread. Okay, I'm bringing in a credit of $1.15. I'm going to click on create order, and then I'm going to go mid-market. Don't ever come in at the ask or the bid, unless you really got to get in or get out of something. And if you do, you're an idiot for getting into that position. Between the bid and the ask, lots of rich people who live in the Hamptons make their living. Don't make them any richer. They don't need your money. I know them. Now, I'm going to turn into a Catholic nun, okay? I know that's not a pretty visual. We'll leave it at that. But I got a ruler in my hand, right? I'm Sister Mary Matthew. When I click this Analyze button, the only place you're going to look is a sad face, okay? Think of a Catholic nun. You ready? Look at the sad face first. Boom. Max potential loss, 5,800 bucks. Now, why did you make me do that? Because I know out of the hundreds of you in here, if I hadn't said look at this guy first, you would have looked here first and gone, 1,800 bucks in a week and a half? Done. How do I get this trade? Stop. Don't ever, even if you don't take a test flight with us, stop. Don't ever do that again in your trading, ever. It's stupid. If you're not okay with this, with losing 5,800 bucks, why the hell would you even look up? If the answer is no here, you're wasting your time by looking up. Now, I'm John and Pete Nigerian, Options House, Trade Monster, blah, blah, blah. They're big dudes. I know them really well from Chicago. I've told them for years, man, why don't you guys they're like, well, marketing and the sad face should be first. Now, I'm going to teach you how to have trading SOPs. Just like in a fighter squadron, here's how we do things here. It's a phone book. It says, here's what you can't do, here's what you can. I have an SOP that says I don't want to risk more than $5,000 on any one trade. That's 5% of my model portfolio. Why? Why not? That's me. After 26 years of being an options trader, that's me. I have a $100,000 portfolio. I don't want to risk more than $5,000 on any one trade. I don't want to. That's me. You might be 2.5%. You might be 1%. You might be 10%. I don't know. I'm not a financial advisor. I can't tell you any of that stuff. And again, getting back to this being a $100,000 model portfolio, if you look at that max loss and go, whoa, Whiz, that ain't anywhere even close. I only want to risk, maybe $2,000. Then I'm not going to do the math real quick, but do 5 contracts. Oh, okay. People always get wrapped around well, I can't join this guy's service. I don't. Folks, you're watching me trade. I'm not watching you and you trade. Okay, now we can look at max potential profit. It's 1,700 bucks using current, or actually at the money volatility on Friday. Okay, and then down here is the break even, Mr. I guess I'm okay. The break even is 2163.85. Obviously, the short strike was at the 2165 minus the $1.15. Okay. Now, here's what's really cool, and I'm not going to do this, right now, but I take a screen. I showed you the screenshot of that one JP Morgan trade. I take the screenshot of that order ticket and this ticket, and I send it out via email. But more importantly, what I do is, if you're not in one of my live trade sessions, you got to work, take the kids to school, whatever it is, you're sick, I actually send this out, just like I'm talking to you guys right now, via the broadcaster. It's called. Let me show you the broadcaster. So you get a text alert, and we send text alerts literally around the globe, folks. We had a guy sign up Thursday from Luxembourg. So here's my portfolios. I just put this in. I'd click paste, and I'd press send broadcast. So even if you're not in a live trade brief, you get it into the same time the guys sitting in the live trade brief get it. After we're done doing this live trading session, like I will be in about 9 minutes, I press stop on this recording. It takes about an hour for the recording to render. I send you the recording. So here's the order of it. You get an immediate text alert. After we're done trading, it takes me about, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, grab a cup of coffee, and then I have to insert those images into an email. I press fire. So you get an email with the trade, those 2 tickets, and then about an hour later, you get the recording. So about 80% of the traders work at TopGun Options, and I have a member who hasn't seen a live one in 4 years on the other side of the globe, Australia. And he's like, Whiz, I've never seen, he saw me once live. I forget what it was. He either set his alarm or something. He's like, Whiz, this is my first one in 4 years I watched live. So you don't have to be in the trading sessions. I send out text alerts, email alerts, and you get to see them on the website. Steve, or Steven, isn't this a debit spread? No, it's not. This is a, crap, I closed it. It was a bull put spread. A bull put spread. And if you join today, for the next 2 weeks, you can watch me manage it, and you can also watch me manage all these other positions here. Okay? So no, it was not a debit spread. It was a I hate debit spreads. You will never, almost never, see me place a debit spread. Look at this one, guys. You ready for this? So I treat my long-term trading like a wheel, an options wheel. So I just closed the JP Morgan Jan 17 that I showed you. I put this Jan 18 one on about 6 months ago, and I'm going to put on a Jan 19 probably Tuesday in my live trade brief. Look at this trade. 6 months. This one's already up 10 grand. These long-term trades are absolutely crushing it. And if you don't know how to do any of these things, you just do the 2-week test, folks. You can tell I'm not a good salesman. I'm not. I'm a trader, and I'm a businessman, and I'm a fighter pilot. Here's where you need to go. Let me throw the link in here, and I think Renee will help me out as well. And then I'll finish up on your questions because I want to get her back on schedule. It's pretty easy. You ready for it? TopGunOptions.com/go flight. Just like Apollo 11. You know, go for flight. Go.TopGunOptions.com/go flight. And for 2 weeks, for the price of a bad bottle of Pinot Grigio, well, no, I guess that would be, yeah, that's a Santa Margarita bottle right there, 28 bucks. You're going to get access to my primary live trade brief. That's every Tuesday morning at 9, and I go for about an hour to hour and a half to 2 hours. Okay, and I trade the front month and some of the back month, so it's a mixed portfolio. The urgent alerts, what was the one I sent out on Thursday or Friday? I think it was VXX. I think we're getting ready for the Fed to get long volatility going into the Fed. You're going to get our options pocket checklist, the primary intermediate workbooks, and folks, all that stuff is $375, and we'll throw it at you today for 28 bucks. Again, bottle of Pinot Grigio, and you can trade with us for 2 weeks. You can get to see some of our other services or find out about those as well. So let me throw it in there as well in case you're interested. If you're not interested, guys, or you just, I don't know, man, there's, getting a lot of stuff thrown at us. I do a daily video. It's free. I mean, I call it a sit rep, which is a situation report. It's, I posted on YouTube, 251 views, 255, 236. I mean, we got a lot of people that watch this. It's free. If you just want to, it's 10 to 15 minutes. I give you kind of that, it's called a sit rep for a reason. Military, what's the situation report? I don't shoot it at the same time every day, so I wouldn't say, hey, check the website at this time, because I usually am waiting for something to go on throughout the day. So just put your name and email in there, and if you don't want to take a test flight today, you can watch some of my sit reps and see what's going on with some of the other trades. But like I said, this is free, and it's worth the price of admittance there. Yes, well, we have to trade very, very. Trading volatility is easy here. Let me bring this up. Now, well, plumbing's easy. Plumbers do it, right? I love when people say that, like, oh, plumbing can't be hard. Yeah. Look at the VIX, folks. Let me get rid of this real quick. The VIX, literally after the Irish game, I'm going to go to the gym, and I want a good workout. I'm going to put the treadmill up at a 10 incline and run at 10 miles an hour. And if you're sitting there going, oh my God, I'm going to do it for about 30 seconds. That's what volatility's got to get back to its resting heart rate. You know, me walking on the treadmill at 4 miles an hour, okay? So the resting heart rate of the VIX, there's a Brexit, there's a Fed meeting, and there's an election. Look what happens when something is known. So write this down as one of your Whizisms as well. When volatility is cheap, you buy it, okay? When vol gets down here, down where? If you see a 1 and a 2 in front of this decimal point on the VIX, buy it with both hands, period. Can it go lower a little bit as the market still rallies? Yeah, it can. I'm telling you to get long volatility now. It's hurricane. You know, we almost got hit by Hurricane Matthew last month, but it didn't. You buy hurricane insurance when it ain't hurricane season. Do not try and get long vol like the week of the Fed meeting. That's stupid, and you're going to pay way too much, and you might get hammered. Well, I'll teach you how to do this, folks. That's why I want you to sign up, and it's only 28 bucks. When vol is cheap, you buy it, and when it's expensive, you sell it. I'm going to teach you it's one tactic, but one inverted. A bullish double vertical going into the event, and a bearish double vertical out of it. We made $20,000 on bullish and bearish double verticals around the Brexit, and about 12 grand on the last Fed meeting. Not saying we're going to make 12 or 20 going into the DC one. We might not make anything. We might lose money. However, I have to say that. However, I'm pretty damn confident that the vol is going to rise going into that Fed meeting, and it's going to fall as soon as she comes out to the microphone and says something. It's logic. I've been doing it for 20 years, okay? All right, folks, go.topgunoptions.com/goflight. Go flight. That's what you want to do. You want to get airborne. You want to beat that F-18 right there. 14 days, 28 bucks. It doesn't get any cheaper than that, okay? So, TopGun Options, folks, on time, on target. It's 2:44. As soon as it hits 2:45, I'm going to say, Renee, you have the ball. So thanks for having me. I saw a couple compliments with belated Veterans Day appreciation. It was an honor, folks. I love to serve, and I would do it again tomorrow. And like I said, Veterans Day, and when people say Happy Veterans Day or whatever to me, it's a tough thing to hear because it's not necessarily happy, to be honest with you. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for having me. Go.topgunoptions.com/goflight. And Renee, I'm going to give it back to you, and I hit the target right on the nose. So thanks for having me, and folks, have a great rest of your day. God bless. I appreciate it.